Why did Aquaman ground his son? Because his grades were below sea level. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel for Comic Book Editions Volume 140. This past weekend, I had a chance to go to a comic show, and in today's video, I'll share with you my pickups from that event. I also want to share with you some recent ratio incentive covers that I've added into my collection. Thanks again for stopping by. It had been over 6 months since I've been to a comic show. I shared my last comic show visit with you in Comic Book Editions Volume 118. So I really was itching to get back to a comic show and to get a chance to hang out with my friend again too. We met up, had a great time, and saw some amazing books. I saw a Fantastic Four #1. I saw a Superman Volume 1, I think it was issue 19. I mean, you don't see that every day. I saw 2 giant-size X-Men #1s. One was a CGC 8.0 and the other was Raw. I didn't come home with any of those, unfortunately, but I did come home with some books that I'm excited to have into my collection, and I want to get started sharing those with you right now. And we're going to begin with the dollar bin. Believe it or not, this book, Invincible Iron Man #4, was just released last month, and I've already found it in the dollar bin. Of course, it's the Mandarin, part of the Alex Ross Villains Timeless Virgin variant cover. I'm still kind of working on the first set of Timeless covers that Alex Ross did with the Marvel heroes. They're so beautiful. And when I can find them at a good price, that's when I tend to pick them up. So I don't know if I'll end up completing the Villains one or not, but for $1, I'm not going to pass this up. The only other Villains one that I have so far is the Dark Phoenix Virgin variant that he did, because that's so incredibly beautiful. I think a lot of people agreed with that because the week that that was released, I saw that all over my Instagram feed. And I enjoyed it so much, I ended up adding it into my Instagram feed as well. So will I get all of the villain ones? I don't know. I certainly hope I end up getting all of the Marvel hero ones. But then if you get all of the hero ones, you might as well get all of the villain ones too. But for $1, not passing it up. Do you remember DC Challenge? Did you take the DC Challenge? This book was also in the dollar bin, and it's issue #3 of DC Challenge. I don't know if I'm going to do the full 12-issue run of this. I have maybe about 4 or 5 issues now. But if I can keep finding the rest of them in the dollar bin, I'm going to, especially in such nice shape as this is. I kind of was just originally going to do the issues that Wonder Woman was featured in, and I have all of those except for one right now. Now, Wonder Woman isn't in this issue, but Hawkwoman is. So, I could get behind that. Matter of fact, we'll be talking about Hawkwoman more in today's video. A few times, I think. So, the DC Challenge, like I said, if I end up finding the rest in the dollar bin, I'm going to pick them up. If not, it's no big deal either. This next book was actually $2, but ended up getting a discount from the seller, so it ended up as $1. I'll say out of the bag and board, it wasn't as nice condition-wise as it appeared to me inside the bag and board, so it displays pretty nicely. And World's Finest #277 is the issue. I've been buying a lot of books from this era. I like this dollar era of World's Finest. Zatanna had some solo stories for a brief time period, and I'm specifically working on those to add into my collection. So that's one that I needed. So I saw her there. I'm like, yep, I want that. When there's Green Arrow, usually you can find Black Canary. That's another plus. When there's a Hawkman story, usually I can find Hawkwoman. So too much goodness to pass up. Some of these World's Finest dollar books from this era too have wraparound covers. This one doesn't. The back cover is the DC Comics Daily Planet news page. And essentially in that issue, or in this volume of the Daily Planet, they're promoting the Justice League of America issue #200. So that was cool too. Haven't had a chance to read these stories yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Probably someday I'll upgrade this book because these aren't expensive books anyway. I probably would have passed on it had I seen the condition outside of the bag and board. But once again, it ended up only costing me $1. So it's really not that big of a deal. It's good enough until I'm able to replace it. So when I went to this comic show, I wasn't specifically looking for any type of book. I was kind of open to whatever books want to find me, I'm willing to find them. This wasn't one that I specifically had in my mind, but when I saw it, I knew that I wanted it and I knew that I needed it. So this is Adventure Comics number 451. Ignore the price tag of $5 because I didn't pay that much. As a matter of fact, most of the price tags that you'll see on these books, I paid significantly less than what you saw. So last year, and I showed this in a comic book editions video as well, I picked up Adventure Comics 449 and 450. At that time, Aquaman was the headliner for Adventure Comics. But what really got me were the backup stories featuring the Martian Manhunter. In 449, Martian Manhunter's friend on Mars is killed, and it looks like the attack came from Earth, possibly from a superhero. So he goes to Earth to investigate. In 450 in that story, he meets up with Supergirl and ends up battling her. Then in the backup for this issue, he's going to take on Hawkman and Hawkwoman. So it's really the backup story that I wanted. Not that I'm not going to enjoy the Aquaman story. It's kind of interesting, though, after 3 consecutive issues of Martian Manhunter in Adventure Comics on this storyline, they don't finish up the storyline in the forthcoming issues of Adventure Comics. Instead, the storyline moves over to World's Finest Comics, starting with issue number 245. That seems kind of odd to me, but that's what they did. As I said, I'll probably enjoy the Aquaman story as well. Of course, we got Starro here, the Justice League's very first villain. And a little piece of Starro is left behind, and they ended up using that as a ploy for a Starro appearance in Justice League number 189. So I love it when a comic book does a throwback to another comic book. It really kind of keeps the continuity going too. Haven't read this one all the way through yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that. This next book was a no-brainer for me. I've been wanting this book for a while, even though the contents are reprints. It's Super Team Family Volume 1, Issue Number 1. Now, Super Team Family later on would end up doing original stories, and I tend to like the books with the original stories more than I like the ones that are just full of reprints. This book has an amazing cover, which to me is worth the price that I paid for it, which is less than $12, and it says on the cover, and it's in really great condition too. I've been wanting this for quite some time. Reprinted inside is a Superman-Batman story from World's Finest number 175. Also inside is a Silver Age Teen Titans story from Volume 1, Issue number 19. And then Flash 166 is reprinted in here as well, all with this great original cover that I think is awesome. So when I saw this, I mean, literally no hesitation. I saw it, I looked at the shape, I looked at the price, bing, bang, boom, yep, it's mine. I knew that one was coming home with me. My friend was hunting in a few short boxes ahead of me when he saw this and pulled it out and said, "Ryan, look." And as soon as I saw it, I knew that, yep. So they were asking $5 originally, ended up getting it cheaper than that with a bulk discount for buying so much. But it's Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane, issue number 109. I love these Lois Lane stories, more from the post-100 era of her title to the end. And I'm trying to definitely collect from 105 on up. 105 was the introduction of the Rose and Thorn backup stories, and I really love those stories as well. So there's a Rose and Thorn story backup in here. I actually saw an issue 105 at this comic show, and it was in pretty nice condition, and I debated back and forth for a while if I was going to get it or not. I ended up passing on it just because I thought it was a touch too high, and I felt that I could get the same book probably in the same condition, a little bit cheaper down the road. I mean, time will tell if that ends up being a good decision or a bad one. Plus, I mean, you got to watch your budget and your finances too. I'm actually happy to say that I came out of this comic book show in budget. I spent a lot less than I was planning on, so maybe I should have bought that Lois Lane after all, but it is what it is. Happy to have this one though. Enjoyed these stories so much. Definitely from 105 on up, I want to have Lois Lane, and I'm kind of collecting that series backwards. I remember there was a time that I bought a lot on eBay of Lois Lane comic books from the later portion of the run, like the end of the series on down, and just enjoyed those immensely. So, and I've read other ones from the same era too and have enjoyed these. So I have no doubt that this one is going to follow suit. This next comic book, it's X-Men 166. So there are 2 comic books from X-Men that I need to be able to complete like a 120 issue consecutive run. And this is one of them. So now I'm down to 1 issue that I need. X-Men 166, I always confuse this cover with X-Men 160. To me, they look so similar. This is a big giant-sized issue, double-sized issue. It, in a sense, wraps up the Brood storyline. At least it gets them out of space and there. The next issue, they come back, to the X-Mansion and deal with a Brood after effect. But for the most part, this kind of wraps up the Brood storyline. It's also the first appearance of Lockheed. I'd never read this book until, just recently. What was it? A few weeks back, maybe a month back or so. Omni X-Men with John's Comics with Kids and No Good Comics featured this book. It was time to feature this one. That's the first time I ever read it. So now I have this in my collection and just hunting that last issue that I need to have that consecutive run of 100 plus issues of X-Men going. Okay, this next book. These next 2 I'm excited to show you. It's been a while since I showed a Justice League comic book on my channel, and that's a big focus for me this year, is working on my Volume 1 Justice Leagues. So I saw a copy of this issue, which is issue number 7, Justice League of America, Volume 1, issue number 7. The same dealer had a very high-grade copy of this for $200. This is definitely not a high-grade $200 copy. This is a very low-grade copy. You see some water staining probably on the cover. Little colored rub down there too on Wonder Woman's sandal. This was so in budget that I thought, I'm getting it now. It would be huge FOMO if I didn't. So I bought it now. If I have to upgrade it in the future, that's fine. I do. But at least I have it right now. I mean, another single-digit Justice League comic book for my collection. What I also like about this book, the story in this issue later gets referenced in Wonder Woman Volume 1, issue number 130. She remembers back to this story in Justice League too. So I thought that's kind of cool. I didn't find this till about past midway through the time that I spent at the comic show. And I was so psyched that it was still there. It's also the very, very minor key first appearance of Midge. And you say, who the heck is Midge? Midge is Snapper Carr's girlfriend. Snapper Carr is the mascot for the Justice League. Just in case you didn't know, you never should assume that somebody knows. But first appearance of Midge in this issue, so stoked. Then one last book that I picked up from this comic show this past weekend. If you bought a Justice League number 7, you might as well buy a Justice League number 8. Got this from a different seller soon after. To get 2 Justice League comic books that are single digits. These books found me, and I'm so thankful that they still were there because I wasn't there when this event opened up first thing in the morning. So like many early Justice League comic books, there's no Batman and Superman, or at least their appearances are pretty limited. In this story, there's no Batman and Superman. They say that they are in Dimension X with Robin on a different adventure, which is why they're not here. But here we have the opportunity for the criminals to bid on the Justice League. Who is going to bid on Green Lantern? It's probably going to be that Foo is a furry guy. That's probably who it's going to be. Great story, though. I'll save my money to bid on Wonder Woman, though, when she comes up for auction. So, just stoked. I am going to do next month a video of just my Justice League of America comic books that I've added into my collection. So that will kind of get you updated where I stand with Justice League. But even though you haven't seen one for a while, I haven't forgotten about what a priority that title is for me. And my ultimate goal is by the end of this year, if I can get under 50 Justice League comic books that I need. I'd really like to do like 48, if I, and then fan that out for one a month for the next 4 years. We'll see. We'll see how the year ends up. But getting some early ones, some single digit ones. To get one, I was ecstatic. To get a second one, and this one's in much nicer shape too, much nicer condition. I was stoked. It absolutely made my day. But like I said, next month I'll do that video for you of just Justice League comic books that I've recently added into my collection, because I got a few to show, some silver and some bronze, because that's all I need are silver and bronze books for that. Picked up a few other books that are going to end up as AOKs to comic book community members too, but that essentially wrapped up the books that I picked up at the comic show this past weekend. I wasn't exactly crazy about the layout and where they held it at. It was inside a mall, and it's the first time I'd ever gone to the event at this location. And usually I guess they're in one of the old storefronts, but they couldn't use that same storefront that they usually use because storefront had already been leased out, or someone's in the process of putting their business in there. So they kind of put the vendors out, in the sidewalk area of the interior of the mall, with some of them tucked in some smaller empty storefronts. I don't know. I just wasn't crazy about the layout. But I did, as you've seen, I found some good books. If you're new to my YouTube channel and haven't subscribed yet, I hope you take this opportunity to do so. Make sure to leave me a comment, give me a like, a thumbs up, because it's a great way to show support. And sharing my video and my channel with folks is another great way to show support. We're over 700 subscribers. I'm so happy about that. I'm not done sharing books, by the way, so I don't want you to think it's time for you to go away. I just wanted to throw that little reminder in too, about how you can continue to show support to my channel. Ultimate goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers. What I want to do now is share with you some of the incentive covers that I've recently added into my collection. So these are newer books, incentive covers, and sometimes people don't see those as much as they see the regular A or B covers, so that's why I like to share those. I am so happy to have this. This is Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods, issue number 1. This is the Daniel Samphire foil variant. So it's a negative space cover. Daniel is going to be the regular artist with Wonder Woman when the Tom King run starts this summer, and they start rebooting it after issue 800. And they start over at volume 1. So beautiful. I have yet to see a photo or a video of someone showing this book that truly did this book justice of how it looks in person. So incredibly beautiful. This thing, when it first came out too, was selling, like the first day it came out, it's a 1 in 25. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's a 1 in 50 incentive variant. And this was selling for $75 to $150 on the first day that it came out. I really lucked out and got mine. I usually don't say prices, but I'll say the price. I got mine in a pre-order for $40. So I didn't get the book till a couple weeks after it came out, but I pre-ordered at $40, and I was so nervous that it actually wasn't going to come through, that they're going to end up canceling my pre-order because they could see. I mean, I even saw someone bought one of these on eBay for $200. I did a live unboxing of this on my Instagram, and I might do a little bit more Instagram live because that was a lot of fun to do. But of course, I have to share it here on my Comic Book Editions channel. It's not official until I do that. And I loved it so much, I made it the thumbnail to this video. But I like Daniel's art. I think I will miss the writing of Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad, the current Wonder Woman writers. I will miss their writing on the title. But I do like Daniel's art, so I'm looking forward to, I know we'll see what Tom King does with the storyline. So, but we'll save that till it's time to talk about that. This book, though, the Revenge of the Gods, issue number 1, it was very Wonder Woman heavy with just a little Shazam. Of course, I like that. I like the second story a little bit better than the first. Really enjoyed the book. Thought it was good. Issue number 2 is much more Shazam heavy with a little bit of Wonder Woman, so it balances out a little bit more. That was okay. I kind of liked issue 1 a little bit better, though. This next book, this is the one-shot DC Legion of Bloom, issue number 1, and this celebrates spring. I knew of this cover. This is a 1 in 25 ratio incentive cover, and I knew of it, and I was going to pass on it. And then I found out that there's a Wonder Woman story inside. Actually, it's a Siggy story. Siggy's one of Wonder Woman's newer supporting characters, and I love Siggy. He's awesome. There's a Siggy and Wonder Woman story inside of here. Then when I found that out, I'm like, well, I have to get it. And if I'm going to buy the book, I might as well get the 1 in 25 incentive cover because I like this the best out of all of the cover options. I'm not going to get every cover for it. I'm good with just getting this one. So I did. I haven't read the other stories yet, too. I love the play on the words Legion of Bloom. I think that's whoever came up with that, brilliant. Of course, this is said by the same guy that tells jokes at the beginning of each one of his videos that kind of feel like a Legion of Bloom. Anyway, my LCS did me a huge solid on this. So they didn't have any in their store, but their warehouse had a copy. So they got it from their warehouse, took it off the website, and brought it over for me to get, and actually charged me less than what the warehouse website price was. So that's why I have loyalty to those people. They're great people to start out with. They have a great store, and they treat me so well. Current issue of Wonder Woman is 797. And there were 7 different covers for issue 797 alone. You've heard me gripe in previous videos. It's too much, and it is too much. This is the 1 in 25 incentive cover. Orzo, hopefully I pronounced that correct. That's the artist on this. Not necessarily my favorite cover or favorite artwork that I've seen. Just saying, but it's there. So issue 797 also had a virgin variant, a foil virgin variant for it. So this is a 1 in 50. It's just like the A cover, except virgin and foil. They've been kind of doing that same thing with the previous issues. Foiled out of its mind, so I picked that one up as well. They are going to do, as what I know right now, at least 10 covers that I know of for issue 800. Too much, too much, too much, too much. Ugh. Okay, one last thing before I wrap up this comic book editions video today. I finally was an invited guest on Mystery Men, despite the Mystery Men believing that I had been on the show many times in the past. I had never been on the show. Last week, I was on the show where I unboxed, with some other folks, an AOK from Robb Boswell. And it was glitter booby-trapped. I went last on the stream, so I always think that's a smart thing to do. You watch to see how everyone else got glittered. And I opened it up inside of a garbage bag. And my glittering wasn't as bad. There's only a couple pieces that I see still floating around. Not as bad as I've gotten in the past or could have gotten in this. I'm just going to throw this out here. If you know, then you know. This was my AOK from Robb Boswell. It's a Squatchy Comics original. And I'm just going to leave it there right now. Squatchy is available to do commissions for you. So check him out on Instagram. Hit him up. He's very affordable and does a great job. I do appreciate my package being pretty prominent there in the drawing. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Thank you, Robb Boswell, though, for thinking of me. Foo's paw is a little higher than it probably needs to be on my leg, but it is what it is. And if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, sometimes you just have to shake your head and say, okay, whatever. And that's kind of an okay, whatever thing. That brings us to the end of what is today's Comic Book Editions Volume 140 video. Next week, I'm going to do a spectacular spider haul. I do one of those each month until I get caught up on all of these Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man comic books I've recently added into my collection. So look for that next week on my channel. That will be our April edition. In the meantime, tell me, out of all of the books that I showed, which was your favorite cover? Also, do you own any of these comic books? We can dialogue about that and whatever you want to. I don't know if we want to dialogue about this. Well, maybe. But we can dialogue about most things. How about that in the comment section below? I always look forward to reading your comments and getting the chance to interact with you. Thanks again for making it to the end of this Comic Book Editions video, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Catch you next week.